Hello guys, welcome to React Today, part of the World's Wild project. Due to claim that a private YouTuber did on my last video regarding the disclosure on UFOs or UAPs, the video was taken down from the platform, YouTube in this case. So I already removed the video in the hope that YouTube and Futurology in this case will lift the ban or the strike that I'm supposed to have right now on YouTube. There's only 3 strikes, I understand, and then you're out of the platform. That easy. Okay, so the video has been removed. I hope you like the same video, even though every time I uploaded it, it's gonna lose image and sound. I apologize for that, but I didn't have it backed up, so I have to reload it with that little difficulty. I hope you bear with me on this one. The second part of this is that I invite you to subscribe to my channel and start supporting me on Patreon. There's many issues I would like to talk about, and I think that Canada has little leadership on these matters, and for us, for the country and for the world, we Canadians want to contribute a little further and way more in a better way in order to understand what are the things that affect us gravely and immediately. Specifically, in this case, the disclosure, so-called disclosures that has not happened regarding the UAPs, the UAP phenomena, underwater, etc. So the invitation, guys, is for you to watch other videos regarding terraforming Mars, which is the hypothesis that we need to move to other planets. And yes, there's plenty of planets that might be inhabitable, we can inhabit in order to develop our civilizations or better civilizations than this one. That's for sure. The fact that the United States of America and other governments have denied the reality of UFOs and UAPs is very, very serious, because it has evolved civilization for more than 1,000 years. Can you imagine the propulsion technologies, the intellect, the things that we can learn in medicine and the applications of, as long as it's not Monsanto doing it, technologies that can preserve our species further more than another 1,000 years, because according to the atomic clock, which is the one that measures the probability for us, for the country, and for the world to be destroyed by an atomic warfare, is very possible, especially now with these ideas that are happening to come against China by the United States of America and its allies, and accusing and saying, for example, that it's possible that we could go to war against China just for commercial interests. And this rhetoric that has never changed from the United States of America in the last 100 years, that can take the world, the country, and us to extinction, literally. So I invite you to watch the video. I excuse myself for not having a better sound, but it's not that bad. Just keep in mind that there's videos from the 80s, from the 90s, and more recently from 2015, but the discussion continues. And there's so much material that we can discuss about UAPs and UFOs, and the fact that we have visitors and civilizations around us. For us, for the country, and for the world, support my channel, subscribe, give it a like, make sure you're subscribed, because platforms like YouTube tend to cancel revolutionary thought. They just want the way they want, and that's it. For us, for the country, for the world, hope to see you next time in the next edition of React Today. Enjoy the video. It's back on YouTube. Over. Bye-bye. Hasta pronto. Because you deserve better, and so do I. Thanks to one of you guys, I was able to better the quality and sound of the video on UFOs and UAPs. I appreciate your patience. If you already saw the video, you can skip it. Just recommend it, share it, subscribe to my channel, and please support me on Patreon. Patreon/Federico Molano, Patreon/The World's Wild Project. Enjoy! To make things short, we're going to talk today about one of the issues that we have been lied to by the American government. Russians are not the same, the Belgians are not the same, the Chinese are a little prudent on that matter, but anyway, today we're going to talk about unidentified aerial phenomena. welcome. One of the things that we're going to see today is how this begins. And it began with 1947? No. It began in history with the Bible. And began in history with the Paramahans, with the Hindu, the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam especially. The Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. Cultures that existed way before Jesus Christ, or the Jews, and the countries that developed in Mesopotamia. The civilizations, I should say, because that's how we follow the origin of civilization, from Iraq, Syria, which is Iran now, and all those countries. Then comes the Jewish people and all this Middle East development of civilization as we understand it today. Today we have very interested groups, scientific, economic, media powers, that for centuries have lied to us, but especially in the post-industrial world. The editorials, the publishers, the press was monopolized by different groups that bought papers in order to multiply an opinion, a point of view, which was always the interest of the strong, as we read in the 2 versions ago about what is justice. So beginning from Plato 2300 years ago to our days, it has been the same excuse for democracy, which is a word that is not existed never ever. With few exceptions in the Nordic countries nowadays, after wars and genocide and displacement, they mature their consciousness in order to say the public, what is social, is important, and they cover what is social, the fundamentals of what is a social structure in order to have a better society. That is health, that is education, that is shelter. And they have proven to be the best countries in the world, because socially they do. But these countries developed interests that they consider more important than the rest of the other world, because according to them, the third world countries, which have First Nations or population, don't want to absorb the industry and the development of the new world, which is roads, which is you name it, everything you want to find in the new world, which is the exploitation of human and natural resources, the exploitation of the civil rights, the fact that money controls and changes the laws of every country they go in order to profit from them. That means they take the water, the resources of the people in order to gain and produce their richness. And they call that democracy. And they give examples of democracy by exploiting third world countries of their resources, even though using paramilitary groups, assassinating and killing people. But that's not the problem today. What we're going to talk about today is something, even though as important as this, with a connotation that gives us the chance to say, hey, stop lying to us once more, because we know better. We cannot be Mike deGrasse Tyson, that you need to know what you know, and you need to understand that you understand what you know because you know, when he comes with a scientific riddle and he comes and says, yeah, you have to understand me because I have the truth, boy. And the truth is that I don't believe in the UFOs, because UFOs is just an object, and the object doesn't necessarily represent intelligence from other world. And he comes with this theory and he makes fun of it.
I saw it in The Last Jedi, but we should probably figure out the practicality of this with astrophysicist, director of the Hayden Planetarium, Neil deGrasse Tyson, rock star of science explanation.
It's real, it's in the movies, so it's real.
And this is his book, which is awesome, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. God bless you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm still shocked that people care about it at the level they have.
Shouldn't be. You are our science explainer-in-chief, and so explain what you see on that video.
Well, so people, I think, have conflated the concept of a UFO with whether we're visited by aliens. UFO means unidentified, flying object. Okay? This is a highly non-specific term.
Yeah.
It is so non-specific, it admits you don't know what you're looking at.
But what's driving that thing if not a space alien?
It's unidentified.
Okay.
So
That's not good enough.
well, so the universe brims with mysteries. And so just because you don't know what it is you're looking at doesn't mean it's intelligent aliens visiting from another planet.
Yes.
You just said you don't know what you're looking at. So it's not, you cannot, as a next sentence, say, therefore it must be anything.
Yes, but you know what we're looking at. You stare at the cosmos for a living.
I'm not authorized to go beyond this part.
Wow.
You're in.
But we're serious. But
No, a couple of things. Just
what do you see?
consider what made people interested in this is that it involved the Pentagon and $22 million, or whatever the figure was. Consider, by the way, that's $22 million over 5 years, and the Pentagon's budget is huge. So how much of the Pentagon budget is that? It's 0.0001% of the Pentagon budget. So A. B, it's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out. I would hope there's a program of our Defense Department to make sure they do not pose a threat. And sure enough, that's what that program was.
But it just buzzed away. They didn't know what it was.
Of course.
We still don't know. It's a mystery.
We still don't know.
But hold on.
And I'm cool with that.
Okay, that's where we differ. You're cool with letting that.
Scientists live
out there.
in mystery every day of our lives. There is the circle of knowledge that we have, and then there is beyond that circle is the unknown. And even as the perimeter of that knowledge grows, okay, as the area of the knowledge grows, so does the perimeter of our ignorance. All right, because it's touching this wider and wider area.
Okay, I understand.
So people are uncomfortable not knowing, not the scientist. I'm fine. We don't know what it is. Keep checking it out.
Okay, but hold on a second. There's another question.
Call me when you have dinner invite from an alien. That's a
so
different
you're
conversation.
skeptical. You're skeptical that space aliens have visited Earth.
The evidence is so paltry for aliens to visit Earth. I have no further interest. Let other people who care go ahead. And then when you finally find some aliens, bring them into Times Square. No, there are too many weird people.
Yeah,
I think that's happened.
You would not stand out in Times Square.
Right.
And try not to come back during Comic-Con when the alien would just blend in. Go to the county fair or something where there's a uniformity of who's there. And then and everybody's got a high-definition video camera on them now. We have video footage of rare things that you knew happened, but no one saw it happen. Like buses tumbling in tornadoes. In the day, you didn't say, oh, that bus is about to tumble. Let me go back and get my video camera to film this. No, you got your tail out of there. Everybody's got a video camera. I'm just waiting for images of people visiting, having tea with aliens on the spacecraft.
But you do acknowledge that carbon is not a rare substance, and there must be carbon-based life forms out there somewhere.
If there's life
right?
elsewhere, it is likely based on carbon, not only because carbon is abundant, but it is highly versatile in what kinds of molecules it makes. And if you need the diversity of life, is enabled and empowered by the diversity of the molecules carbon can give you.
Do you think there's intelligent life out there?
I would first start with that question on Earth. You set me up for that. No, so the question is, have aliens visited and just kept going because there was no sign of intelligent life? We've used our... Who defined us as intelligent? We did. Okay. So is that some cosmic measure of intelligence? Perhaps not. And so who are we to say? I'm just saying, it seems to me, aliens who visited us, they would manifest more convincingly than fuzzy video. And there's no reason to assume that because you don't know what you're looking at, it equals aliens that visited us from outer space. I'm glad the Pentagon was looking at this, because if it posed a threat, I want them on top of it right away. And otherwise, and the program is closed down, and it said, okay, not a threat.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, the book again, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry.
And I don't want to stop people from doing it. Keep looking. Get it. Keep looking. Go.
Go out. Get after it.
Go.
There you go.
Bring your video cameras. Go.
Thank you.
We're going to go look for aliens.
Go for it.
We are.
Call me when you got it.
Well, he can make fun of that, but we, the people, are not that stupid. Not even I don't have a degree in astrophysics. I don't know if you. I don't have a degree in physics either. But even if a scientist like Mike deGrasse Tyson, who hosted Cosmos at the second version after Carl Sagan, and all this scientific method that has been developed by capitalism, which is in order to tell us that proof is not proof yet, that evidence is not evidence, that a photograph of a hallucination is not a hallucination, but a photograph of a hallucination, that is saying that 2 + 2 is 4. No, he's saying 2 + 2 is 5. We're saying 1 + 1 is 2. No, they're saying 1 + 1 is whatever I say it is, because they have degrees in astrophysics and all that. And we have this with Michael Shermer, we have this with the skeptics, we have this with, which are, in my opinion, people that are being paid. Yeah, no doubt, they make a lot of effort. Somebody's supporting their magazines and their opinions, their think tanks and all. Because the moment I see an object moving up and down, and that's for you, Mr. Tyson, and that's for you, Michael Shermer, and that's for you, all you skeptics and whatever you think, and you are smarter than I am, I'm pretty sure. But even you, when you come to me and you said to me that that object that you saw, I probably didn't saw, that was making up and down and coming back and going forward and then coming back longer distance, twice its distance, twice the radio that it covered on a half of a second, and then move slowly. And I said, the girls say, there's a UFO, and the girls run like hell here in Canada. And you're saying me that that's just an object, that doesn't mean necessarily that comes from an extraterrestrial or another civilization, let's say not extraterrestrial, but another civilization far from us. And you say that I don't know what I know because what I see is not what I saw, and what I saw was not the truth, and all that crap. I laugh at you because, for example, I'm going to give you an example now that you love examples. When I see a cockpit of a plane, and I see, let's say, an Airbus, yeah, I'm pretty sure you have trouble lots of on one of them. I recognize immediately, I infer, I deduct immediately. I don't need to be a scientist like you, or an astrophysicist, or a physicist, or mathematician, or aerospace engineer, to understand that in those beautiful lights and those mechanisms, in those controls, I understand and imply immediately the intelligence of electricians, welders, mechanics, aerospace dynamics. I understand immediately the relationship between earth, the wind, how material resistance, materials wear out. I understand that there's a team, a consciousness of people coming together in order to create that plane, which takes off after a half kilometer or 300 meters or whatever it is, half kilometer of land, and sweeps over and takes off. Of course I understand by watching that, Mr. Tyson, and your friends that need to see, understand what you see, because what you see not necessarily is what whatever real you come with, and laugh about it. And the news, well, we don't laugh about that. We laugh about you, Mr. Tyson, and you scientists like Mark Shermer and all these guys, because the moment I see that plane, that technology, that group of people, engineers, mechanics, scientists, aerodynamics, technicians, and all that, coming together to create a plane that flies over half a mile, taking off, I infer intelligence. What makes you say to us, Mr. Tyson, whatever your crap is going to be explanation, your crappy explanation is going to be, with a joke and a big smile, which I don't like anymore. I used to, but not anymore. To tell us that what we see is not obvious, engineered by a conscience of people that uses bigger or littlest or whatever aircraft to move against all laws of physics that you understand. That doesn't mean that we have to believe what you believe. And you are proof of that. To me, you are, and I hope the followers of this program. So, you are welcome today, friends of the World's Whale Project, as React Today, to understand that React Today, a person from the intelligence of one of the most important intelligence agencies of the world, he wanted to give back to the world something. Say, we have abused this world as much as we have, as much as we can. I'm going to give back a little bit before I die. And what I'm going to give back to the world is the fact that I'm going to tell, yeah, we have ET relations, and President Trump knows about it. That was pretty vague, if you ask me. Pretty vague, but at least he wanted to make peace with his conscience. I'm going to give this tip to the world. Well, thank you. Because actually, yeah, well, we don't have to thank you anything. We already know, mister.
Aliens exist and President Trump knows about it. That's according to Israel's former space security chief. In an interview with an Israeli newspaper, he said the aliens have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are. NBC News chief global correspondent Bill Neely explains this one.
Hi, Alison. Well, this is quite a story, and it comes from the man who headed Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. Chaim Eshed is making the extraordinary claim that the United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years. Not immigrants, but extraterrestrials. He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets, he claims, but was asked not to do so by the Federation in order to prevent what he calls mass hysteria. Well, the retired general says the US and Israel have kept it from the public because, quotes, humanity isn't ready and the aliens don't want to reveal themselves until humanity can evolve, he says, and understand what space really is. Well, the good news is that he claims an agreement has been reached between the US government and the aliens, a contract to do experiments here. There's also, he says, a secret underground base on Mars where there are American and alien representatives. Now, this former head of a branch of Israel's defense ministry is 87. He was very well respected, at least until now. And he said all this in an interview with an Israeli newspaper in Hebrew, but it's really taken off after parts of it were published in English by the Jerusalem Post today. He says he's come forward now in the hope that his news will be accepted as true. He notes that if he'd made these claims 5 years ago, he would have been hospitalized, but now he says, I've got nothing to lose. Well, so far, President Trump has not tweeted about this, though remember a year ago, he did set up the Space Force as the fifth branch of the US Armed Forces. Well, we did ask the White House, the Department of Defense and Israeli officials to comment. So far, they have not responded to the NBC News request, and I wonder if they ever will.
Suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together. Well, I don't suppose we can wait for some alien race to come down and threaten us, but I think that between us we can bring about that realization. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
How many species there might be that we've identified already, what the ships look like, the variety from the small foo-foo fighters up to allegedly motherships mile wide.
I think, looking at the sorts of interesting reports in these files, the ones from police officers, pilots, military personnel, the ones tracked on radar, there's material there that certainly makes me think twice. It's not all misidentifications of aircraft lights and weather balloons.
Is there any one report that stands out as extraordinary or perhaps most convincing?
One in the new files that I particularly like is a radar sighting where an object travelled 10 nautical miles in 12 seconds, about 3,500 miles an hour, and that's on a military radar.
And they picked up their cameras and started over toward it, filming as they went. And when they got in fairly close to it, it lifted up, put the gear back in the wheel wells, tipped up, and took off at a great rate of speed. And so they came into my office and told me what had happened, and I sent them over to develop the film, and then had to go through all the proper regulations of reporting this, and we wound up having to send the film forward to Washington in the base jet airplane, and I don't know whether anyone's ever seen it since.
I have frequently been asked by a person of my background, a former chief of the defense staff, a former chairman of the NATO military committee, why I think there is a cover-up, or what the reasons may be for governments wishing to cover up the facts about UFOs. What I'd like to say is that there is a serious possibility that we are being visited and have been visited for many years by people from outer space, from other civilizations. That it behoves us, in case some of these people in the future or now should turn hostile, to find out who they are, where they come from, and what they want.
What I saw were lights. I saw three different things. I saw a glowing red eye-like ball that was dripping like molten metal that came toward us, that moved, it came into the forest, moved through the trees, missing the trees, obviously under control. The item moved back into the field and exploded and was gone. There were all three objects to the north in the sky that had multicolored lights that moved in synchronization as though they were doing a grid search. We watched them for quite a while, and we saw two objects to the south. They were white, bright lights. We couldn't discern a shape. There was a shape, but I couldn't tell what it was. One came overhead at high speed, very high speed, 2,000 or 3,000 feet up, and sent down a laser-like beam at our feet. Just click, it was on. I stood there in awe, very concerned. Is it a weapon? Is it a warning? Is it communication? And as suddenly as it appeared, it disappeared.
The United Nations is getting ready for a contact with aliens from outer space. This is Moslin Othman. She's out of Malaysia. She will be planet Earth's first interstellar diplomat.
If aliens invaded, who would step up to lead us in that fight, and could we even win? That's just one of the questions the Discovery Channel's new series, Curiosity, looks at. Joining me now is physics professor Michio Kaku, who is a consultant for the series. Professor, welcome. The biggest question before we get any invasion is, do aliens even exist, and how would we know?
Well, the Kepler satellite currently orbiting in outer space has identified about 50 planets that seem very much Earth-like. In fact, every week we discover another Jupiter-sized planet in outer space. Now, to be sure, most of them probably have no more than microbial life, just germs. But a few of them may have intelligent life, perhaps even more advanced than what we have on Earth.
Just finishing up, this is the Vatican now, a 5-day conference on aliens. Father Jonathan Morris, Fox News contributor, back with us. Father, good morning to you.
What a great movie that was.
It was a wonderful movie. Drew Barrymore, and off she went. Did the Vatican find alien life?
You know what? It's sensationalistic as that question sounds. It's really not that far off from what we've seen in the news over these last days. The pictures of what might have been Pope Benedict standing on the roof of the Sistine Chapel looking for UFOs. That's the type of images that this news conjures up. What is exceptional is that the Vatican was taking very seriously what science might tell us about the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligent life forms.
How would it change the Church's teaching then? Well, if you consider for a moment, if you determine that there is extraterrestrial life there.
Well, one thing would be fascinating would be not only extraterrestrial life, but if it were extraterrestrial intelligent life forms. That would definitely make us go back and say, maybe our understanding of perennial truths needs to be updated. Now, the way we look at it is this. It's not about whether or not God was the creator, but rather how he created. It's not a question of whether original sin, this Adam and Eve story, is true or not, but our understanding of how that played out. So it's growing in our understanding of perennial truths.
I think that's an interesting explanation there. And I think also if it were determined, Father, that would be an earthquake, would it not?
It would be. It would be, and especially if the Vatican were involved in accepting that. I think we have to make sure that science is not in some way ideologically driven. We have to make sure that faith and religion is not ideologically driven. Faith and reason, they go together.
Oh, well, you represent the church very well in this segment here. Now, I know they've had the conference. When they determine something, if they do, come on back, okay?
If I see anything, I'll tell you.
Let me put it in the words of an author. The author says here, the fact that truth as the basis to any sustainable future or society is punished with the death penalty today, Julian Assange, for example, is a remarkable sign of the times we are living. The fact that truth as the basis to any sustainable future or society is punished with the death penalty today is a remarkable sign of the times we are living. But what is worse, as a sign of the precipice we are heading to. What is then the choice? Is it on the many religions which proclaim supernatural changes, the ethics and morals as we know them, if any, the laws that already exist, the monarchies, republics, states or democracies, all of them together? None of them have worked for human interests as a race. They all have failed dramatically. Oh, let's not forget the proclaimed constitutions of the free world and their countries whose democracies put to the brink of the extinction every place and their peoples in the name of progress. Democracy only worked for those countries which have developed themselves by stealing from weaker free world democracies which they conquered centuries ago, or which their conquerors selected to become their servants by strategic assassinations, millions of dollars in bribes to then welcome to power the selectee of choice, or by means of invasion, Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Afghanistan, probably Iran, or economic interests as in Africa, Salvador, Chile, Guatemala, Colombia, etc. But now we are getting to the point. We will barely survive the next 10 years with what is left in the oceans, rivers, forests, and air. The mighty G7 and the G3 is already planning to colonize other worlds. Get ready for this. The mighty G7 is already planning to colonize other worlds, you know. They are whether they are technologically advanced or not. What would us, or they, that's the military-industrial complex, the politicians and the people that control this world by financing economics and military boot, what would they offer? What we offer? What would they offer to a technologically advanced civilization in case we contacted them, or they us? The American way? The Soviet, the Russian Federation one? Maybe the Chinese totalitarianism with open doors for trade? Including the prohibition tactics on substances in order to profit and take over the business available from it despite the consequences for the disposable population and communities? After what we are now, and we have been historically, what civilized technological world will be interested in mingling with us? Unless it's as dumb and retrograde as our world. The both worlds will be guided by the same untranscended principles we call civilization mentioned above. Oh, but I forgot. I should not say we. For who will tell us of such encounter if not from the depths of an already secret agreement with the new worlds, technologically advanced worlds? So the powers that be today can still keep a tight grip on their slaves? And this is the best part. It used to be the third world countries, the banana republics only. Now it's a globalized interest. Everybody's in it. It has been like this for decades. We just have been informed by the whistleblowers. New prophets for new evils. Any given technologically advanced civilization life from above will just be watching the show that is going on, our judgment through annihilation, which is the reality we're living 90 seconds close to the end of the world. Any given technologically advanced civilization from above will prevent humans to destroy what is not theirs. The right to be here, which for sure we have not earned. All the lies, secrecy, and state agendas or state policies which are not willing to give up the power and obscure intentions towards their interests, which are to take over the resources of other sovereign countries at the price of displacement through terror and appropriation of land which for centuries belonged to the peasants and common peoples in the rural areas, destroying valuable traditions and cultures to impose their foreign will in the form of investments legitimized by laws which pass in the zenith of the countries they have invaded. The new colonialism, which is not new, it has transformed or has mutated to the power of secret operations of destabilization of countries, of entire countries through violence and civil war, while making huge profits by selling the weapons to all sides involved. The old divide and conquer with total disregard to the horrible consequences to such countries which common symptoms are uncontrolled pollution, poverty, drug addiction, community violence, and broken families, to mention just a few. There is no need to declare war on such countries because they are already under control through banking, press, and law systems supported by the bribed elites, which improve their benefits in alliances with the foreign corporate interests while keeping the people under constant threat throughout low wages, excessive taxation, excessive unemployment in rural as in urban areas throughout the countries. Okay, so if you want to make contact with a civilization and we are not ready, guess why we are not ready? Why is that? Because there are some people, some elites that control this world and submit the people to their whim and will, which is anti-civilization, which is anti-democratic, and is obviously anti-evolving. This is a de-evolving system. What kind of extraterrestrial civilization would like to mingle with us with these symptoms? It would be stupid if we believe that peace country like Canada or a conflicted country like United States and European countries, England, etc., UK, are going to be at the top of the initiatives that are going to be guiding us in order to contact other civilizations. I think this is important. In Gold We Trust, talk about these matters. You can find it on Amazon.com. It's a very interesting book, which is also in parallel with the realities we are living today. So if we want to really understand what's going on, we have to take this cube and see the things for the reality they have. And one of those realities is that UFOs, we know already exist. So we don't need the United States or any government to tell us any truths, because you always lie. And the fact that you lie and that you make conversations like this general said from the Mossad, that the United States of America and President Donald Trump, I don't know, Donald Trump will be the right ambassador, will be Joe Biden the right ambassador, will be Kamala Harris the right ambassador to tell us, the country and the world, that we have made contact with civilizations and they needed to lie to us again because we were never ready to transform the realities of this world? I don't think so. I think that's the most mediocre excuse of explanation that anybody can give to us Canadians and to anybody around the world, especially civilized countries. So, for us, for the country and for the world, I would like to leave you with this image of a UFO that was taken 2 blocks away from my mom's house that was way before the technology and the special effects that you can have in your computer. I'll let you decide for yourself, but Mr. Tyson, deGrasse Tyson and all these people, don't this old video, which is not blurred, like you always say, they're all blurred, will this video infer to you technology as I infer and everybody else infer technology by watching an Airbus land or take off? So you better shut up, because we don't believe in the sciences they're telling us, historians and science think tanks, that we absolutely come from the monkey. And when you read simple books on genetics, for example, I'm going to recommend you A Crack in Creation. It's a good book. It's a very elemental issues that we should know about genetics and how to manipulate genetics. I made a program about that. Transhumanism, Mrs. Veronica Lipinska and many others have written about transhumanism, which is the intention to change the spiritual knowledge to algorithmic knowledge. In other words, they want to replace the revelations that we can get naturally by natural chemistry, which is the psilocybin and many other psychedelics that have been instrumental in the development of PTSD in order to slow down addictions, alcoholism, cigarettes, and trauma created by war. They want to replace all that by algorithms in order to take consciousness and algorithmize consciousness. That's what they want to do. This book, for example, shows us that it's very possible that we can, even though Jennifer Doudna, the author with Samuel Sternberg, says that we are way too far from that, I don't think so. Secrecy is one of the issues that we need to stop if we live in a democratic civilization, which we're not. It's all lies. Okay, when you read this one, Genetics 101, and explains how genetics works from the elementals to the complex, explains to us that we not only been lied to, but we don't participate in the so-called technologies and sciences that are really happening. For example, what happened with Nikola Tesla, they took, as soon as he died, they went to the hotel, they take his papers, they take everything away from him, and all of a sudden we have some guy going to Mars, like the general said, that we have bases in Mars already, and Elon Musk said when they took Bolivia on a coup, that's the way we do it, in support of the American invasion of Bolivia and destroying all democratic values in that country. And it does it all the time. Elon Musk says it's okay. Well, what does that tell you? Elon Musk is, of course, one of those guys that all of a sudden appear. He has a career and he's admirable. I'm not saying he's not smart. Sure, she's very smart. She's smarter than I 1,000 times. I'm sure about that. But the fact that this general said that there's already bases in Mars, etc., is telling us that what they're doing here by the assassination of the destruction of photosynthesis itself, the Amazon, for example, and every other green zone around the world is terraforming. Yeah, what they're really telling us is that it's better for us, for the country and for the world, to destroy whatever is blue and green in this planet. Because we're going to fly to Mars, as we have been confirmed by the ex-general from the Mossad intelligence, the Mossad in Israel, that we already have bases, American and ET bases, operating who knows for how long on Mars. What they're saying is that we don't need to care for the beauty of this planet or the greenhouse emissions or the pollution or anything else that destructive economies has produced and will produce to the planet, which is terraforming. Well, they're calling about the changes, the climate change. Yeah, sure, the climate change is going to lead to the sterilization of the possibilities of the planet to reproduce any kind of organism, including multicellular to begin with, not only unicellular but multicellular ones, or life as we know it. But they're saying that we need to do is go to Mars in order to make Mars available to us when we leave there millions of years from now. I think that's very stupid, especially coming from a scientific projection. Instead of taking care of this beautiful planet and avoid the destruction of itself, of this planet, what they're proposing is for us to go to Mars and other planets in the galaxy with the same symptoms we have here, to destroy, to conquer, to monopolize everywhere there's intelligent technological life in the world. If we can take them over, we will. That's the proposition we're seeing here, especially with the realities we see in our planet. Why don't we take care of the Amazon, for example? Why don't we take care of our planet before thinking of going and transforming and terraforming another planet, which for us is not a proper place to live? So yeah, I would like to say that this will be the end of it, but it's not. There are scientists, physicists, people that are against the presentation that scientists do nowadays. I would like to say that science is not corrupted by the same issues that corrupt politics, especially in the United States, because the United States is the country that denies for the last 70 years, has an embargo, as you will see, on, it's like the police, the thought police. You cannot teach, you cannot say, you cannot even think about UFOs unless you are permitted. It's forbidden. Like everything in the United States is forbidden. We don't need to know anything about politics. We don't need to know about the plutocrats or the corporate state. Well explained by Christopher Hitchens or Chris Hedges, for example. Chris Hedges. He has been very methodic in the explanation of why people have no control, or why the United States is not a democracy, not even England. The poverty in England is amazing. The lack of students going to universities is, we have talked about that before and record another chapter. But when it comes to the UFO phenomena or unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, there's other scientists that differ, and astronauts that were out in space that don't agree with deGrasse Tyson, Mike Shermer, and all this bucket of apples that are financed by mainstream media, and they all together work with the same purpose, which is to deny, something that Russia hasn't done. Russia has accepted that there exists since the Foo Fighters in the Second World War, since Roswell, etc. The Russian government has not said that there's intelligence in other worlds, but tacitly has accepted it by giving testimonies from the Russian authorities, generals, etc. In the army that don't have any problem in saying, yeah, we found some objects that are flying around that we cannot identify where they come from. The fact that Mr. Tyson, deGrasse Tyson, and his followers, and people like them speak of the UFO phenomena or unexplained aerial phenomena, UAPs, with such disdain for scientific proof, when, as I explained before, when I see a plane driving in the sky, right in the skies, well, sure, I accept that there's intelligence that can identify that object as a plane. But that doesn't mean that an object that I don't identify as a plane, that flies even better than, that speeds up from 0 to 3,000 kilometers or 17,000 kilometers a second, which kill a man, that would kill a man, the gravity forces, implies to me that there's an intelligence and a technology that is far superior than just the plane that we just saw on the Airbus. Beautiful technology that we humans build in order to transport ourselves and citizens from place to place, commercial, etc., military, and aerospace technologies and engineering, design, etc.
To a National Geographic survey, 77% of all Americans believe there are signs that aliens have visited Earth. But despite this consensus, our governments have yet to acknowledge what many believe to be the truth behind extraterrestrials. Is disclosure just around the corner, as some believe, or has the UFO phenomenon always been a fabrication of the human mind? The evidence has been mounting that our governments indeed know more than they are telling. In recent years, a growing number of credible scientists and investigative researchers have been lobbying for the truth to be told. One of these advocates is Stanton Friedman, a top nuclear physicist who has worked for GM, GE, Westinghouse, Aerojet General Nucleonics, and McDonnell Douglas Aircraft. Friedman has published more than 90 UFO papers and has appeared in countless documentaries and hundreds of radio and TV programs, including Larry King.
And what it really would take would be a Woodward and Bernstein, who blew the lid off the political Watergate to blow the lid off the cosmic Watergate. The data's there. Quote General Bollinger, show the NSA and CIA documents. You can't deny their reality.
Jim Mars is the author of Alien Agenda, the top-selling non-fiction UFO book in the world. Mars began teaching a course on UFOs at the University of Texas at Arlington in 2000 and has since appeared on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, C-SPAN, as well as the Discovery, Learning and History channels.
Today, all you have to do is Google UFOs and look at the images, and you can't take a picture of an hallucination or a psychosis. So they're real. So the question now is, what is the alien agenda?
Stephen Bassett has been fiercely advocating the end of the 68-year government-imposed truth embargo regarding the ET presence. An executive of Paradigm Research Group, Bassett is the executive producer of the X Conference, the Citizen Hearing on Disclosure, and the Congressional Hearing Initiative.
We're facing the potential for a massive renaissance in science, in political reform, and none of that can happen because the governments of the world will not yet even acknowledge the existence of the ETs.
Kathleen Marden is known around the world for her work as an alien abduction ET contact researcher, author and lecturer. She is recognized as the world's leading expert on the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case and is the recipient of MUFON's 2012 Ufologist of the Year award.
My research and the evidence and the scientific evaluation of that evidence has convinced me that this case is real and that it was being covered up by the government and by a small group of debunkers who wanted to make Betty and Barney look like Coup.
Ron James is a prolific filmmaker and writer. He is author of the book Messiah: Awakenings and has won many awards, including the EBE Award for ET-related films 4 times.
There are a lot of races throughout the universe, and that there's very, very many of them that are so far advanced beyond us that we probably can't even comprehend their technology or what they're capable of. And how we play into that, we don't know.
Patty Greer is one of the most devoted crop circle filmmaker researchers today, having produced 6 documentary films that have received prestigious awards. Greer's data brings metaphysics, ET technologies and science together to offer a clear understanding of this astounding phenomenon.
This is the most important story never told, how real this is on the planet, and the fact that all these people being well paid are being paid to not tell the truth. That's old paradigm. And all the money now is behind making sure that this information doesn't get out.
I'm not expecting there will be full disclosure. There are plenty of reasons for the government not to disclose what they have learned. Because if they learned any technological stuff, why should the U.S. put it on the table if the Russians and Chinese don't put on the table what they have learned?
If you're waiting on a government official to hold a big press conference and say, okay, here's the truth about UFOs, you're going to be waiting a long time, okay? Because any government official that would admit to that is then admitting that they've lied to us for 70 or 80 years.
We need to tell the world's people the truth. That's disclosure. Now, once that's happened, I anticipate a year or 2 of intense engagement of the issue by everyone. And after about a year or 2, I think the planet will be collectively ready, not for disclosure, but rather for open contact. I have a feeling open contact will follow.
We this year, we Earthlings, will spend $1 trillion on things military. $1 trillion. While thousands of children die every single day of preventable disease or starvation. Nationalism is the only game in town.
There's just too much to lose, too much water under the bridge.
I'm very involved in the disclosure process politically, and I do believe that it serves a very, very important purpose. And that purpose is to keep the pressure on.
If you're doing this work with clarity, you're going to bring a lot of truth to the public.
The races of grays, and this is what I specialize in, are telling individuals that there is not going to be disclosure by them immediately.
In fact, I think we're undergoing a conditioning process right now through movies and TV and news accounts and sightings and abductions and crop circles, you name it. It's all around us, and more people are beginning to understand that this is a serious issue.
There is a program in the works so that we will be able to communicate with them and they'll be able to communicate with us.
I believe that there's kind of a plan to this, that it's been done before, and they have been helping to drive the process, that they want self-disclosure. Open contact is to follow.
What I believe is happening right now is that this political pressure is combining with all of the other different pressures coming from different places and the media to create an atmosphere where the knowledge is readily being distributed.
There would be a big discombobulation for the world.
It's possible they may lose their patience. If we drag this out long enough, they may be forced to do a force majeure disclosure event. There's a big difference between the world governments announcing to their citizens the presence of extraterrestrials and providing information, and extraterrestrials forcing their reality on the world's people outside of government involvement.
I know of no government on this planet that wants its citizens to owe their primary allegiance to the planet instead of that individual government. So I'm not expecting full disclosure. I don't want to see it. I want the government to say, yes, we're being visited. We're holding these international conferences to deal with the psychological, religious, technological, etc. aspects of that.
Full disclosure is only going to come from them, okay? And think about it. All they got to do is hover over a city long enough for the news crews to get out and take footage, and then the game's up.
I'm going to show you a video that was taken, and this is for you, Mike the Great Tyson, way before the technology of the internet came and the special effects came to happen. This video was taken on my mother's neighborhood many years ago by Daniel Prieto, who happens to be an eccentric person. He speaks various languages, he's a pure mathematician. And he's an eccentric person. He smokes weed, and he has a personality that is according to the personalities of people that has encounters with UFOs. It's out of the grid, literally, in terms of their mind. They are found to be somehow responsible. They don't care so much for authority. Some of them disappear on mysterious ways, but this video was taken 2 blocks away from my mother's house many years ago with no technology and no fancy stuff. So you decide for yourself, Mr. Tyson, or you as a viewer of this program, if when you see an airplane you recognize the technology behind it, the minds behind it, in order for that object to fly and take you from here A to B and C and D places in the world, and you recognize immediately people behind technologies and science. Well, what about with that one, and another video, this one, which was taken by myself on 2019, November the 26th, here in the city. What is that? I don't know what that is, but it's pretty awesome. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? What the hell is that? This is Edmonton. Today is November the 26th, 2019. What the hell is that? In Canada, Edmonton, Canada. So, I let this all up to you. Think about the things that you just heard in this program, and don't expect the United States government, because they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it anyway. They're gonna say, yeah, we have contact, we have to lie to you, because the moment they say that, they're gonna send a memo to all the countries in order to say the same, which is, yeah, we have other civilizations, we have known about that, because of questions of national security, you are not ready. No, who said that we are not ready? We live in a world where nothing but, in the name of democracy, countries are destroyed, literally, in the name of democracy. In the name of democracy, we're supposed to believe that other countries are going to attack us, even though we have not been attacked by them. And we have been lied for the Lusitania, we have been lied for Pearl Harbor, we have been lied for Vietnam, the Tonkin Gulf or Bay. Gulf of Tonkin. We have been lied for the end time with Iraq, Syria, etc. And we want to believe that they want us to believe that we don't have any concern about this, and they have the moral authority, the technological authority, now that they have contact with other civilizations, to tell us what's good and what is bad.
If you saw that there were aliens there, would you tell us?
Yeah.
You would?
I would. Well, I think, look, what do we know? We know now we live in an ever-expanding universe. We know that there are billions of stars and planets literally out there, and the universe is getting bigger. We know from our fancy telescopes that just in the last 2 years, more than 20 planets have been identified outside our solar system that seem to be far enough away from their suns and dense enough that they might be able to support some form of life. So it makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens. And that he didn't find anything.
Well, I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, why not?
Right? And you know, there's a new name. It's unexplained aerial phenomenon.
Unexplained aerial phenomenon,
Yep,
really?
Yep, UAP. That's the latest nomenclature.
I like the old one. I like UFO. I don't know why.
Well, I think we can use them interchangeably, but I would like us to go into those files and hopefully make as much of that public as possible.
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really? Because President Clinton said he did go right in and he did check and there was nothing.
Well, you know, that's what we're instructed to say.
So The point is, the fact that the Mossad general did is because he was in repentance. Henry Kissinger is never going to show that attitude. Never ever, or many are like them, which control world politics, foreign politics, and the European lobby and the United States lobby in senates and the representation chambers and all that stuff. They're never going to admit it. But we the people are not as stupid. According to scientists and all whom support the travels at Mars, I support that as an exploration item, issue. Sure, see if there's life, bacteria and all that stuff, or whatever. We know way better with the information that we have, with the whistleblowers and the research and investigations of the people you just saw. I suggest you to go and see all the programs that I put here. In the credits they will be mentioned, so that you can have a better vision of what I'm trying to expose here. But to say that going to Mars is the best option for us on Earth is the most stupid idea I ever heard, instead of protecting our land, our future here.
A tropical rainforest without rain wouldn't be much of a rainforest. I mean, all plants need water to grow, and without it, they shrivel up and die. So what about the ancient Hawaiian proverb, Hahai no ka ua I ka ulula au, which means the rain follows after the forest? How could that be? Well, all land plants lose water when the pores on their leaves open up during photosynthesis, and this evaporation draws more water up through their stems. With so much rain soaking the soil in rainforests, water is nearly unlimited, and accordingly, rainforest trees can afford to move and lose more water than other plants. All that water vapor rising from the forest feeds moisture-laden clouds while also causing convection. Together, these effects accelerate the formation of rain, which falls to the soil and gets taken up all over again. This cycle of absorption, evaporation, and rain happens everywhere there are plants. However, super wet soil, fast-pumping trees, and hot tropical sun make the cycle so fast in the rainforest that, unlike other biomes where clouds might form in one place and rain in another, in a rainforest, all that water stays in the same region. Without the forest pumping so much water into the air, rainforests wouldn't be as rainy. And without so much rain, the forest couldn't pump so much water into the air. So which came first, the rain or the rainforest? Well, before rainforests, ancestors of trees like cypress, pine, and spruce dominated the land, but they were conservative when it came to using and losing water, so the air tended to be dry, meaning less rain. However, around 130 million years ago, a new kind of plant developed that took the risk of losing more water in return for souped-up photosynthesis. These were the flowering plants, and their risk paid off. Their faster growth enabled them to outcompete the ancestral pines and take over the tropical regions of the globe. These angiosperms lost so much water into the air that as they spread, they brought their own rain with them. And today, tropical rainforests receive more rain than if they were pine forests. In some places, as much as a meter more rain each year. That's equivalent to an extra 2.5 hours of heavy rain each week. Not surprisingly, all that water cools off the forest too, which is why the Amazon isn't nearly as hot as the Sahara or even an East Texas pine forest in summer. But the hot, dry tropics of the past may soon be a part of our future. In parts of the Amazon where vast swaths of rainforest have been logged or cleared for agriculture, unusual droughts are already occurring, and forest fires have become more frequent. Scientists worry that these changes will lead to ever hotter, drier, and more flammable tropics in the coming decades, making things tougher both for the remaining forest and for the people who live there. So when in drought, plant a tree. Seriously, Hahai no ka ua I ka ulula au. This episode of Minute Earth is supported in part by Cookie Blast, one of our subscribers on Subbable, and also a puzzle game available for iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. Thanks for supporting Minute Earth, Cookie Blast.
We only have at least 50 years, if so, to survive in this planet. What will be the intention of other civilizations to come and create a better world for us, for the country? I don't know if that's true. It's not a complicated issue, it's just a matter of discussion. So I hope I have say something important here. Let's protect our planet instead of going and thinking of using steel, nuclear power. That's stupid. It is obvious here then that the terraforming of our planet can only occur and can occur faster if we destroy the green places, the Amazon, to begin with. What we should do then, in order to avoid this catastrophe, now the clock of the atomic bomb, or the possibility that the world ends itself by a nuclear war, is 90 seconds. began in 1947 with 7 minutes, and now it's 90 seconds away. What could we offer another civilized technological civilization unless they want to conquer our world? One word: colonialism. It's not New World Order, it's colonialism. They want to create a colony here by transforming the atmosphere, of course, which we haven't stopped doing. Take a look to this one. In order for us, for the country and for the world to believe that to destroy our planet, our beautiful blue planet, and all its species for the benefit of few, and in order for us to make underground living spaces, is the best way for us to go. For us, for the country, for the world. That's a crazy idea. So yes, what they're telling us is that we should submit to the scientific idea that we should go and conquer Mars, but we should not keep the possible and the realities that we can confront right now, right here, which is to stop the fossil fuels, period. Evolving economy will clear that up for Canadians. It's a hypothesis that I have that I hope it works. It works for us, for the country, for the world, but for Canada specifically. What they're telling us is that to go and transform another planet, terraform another planet that is already sterile, barren for us to live in, but we can, over millions of years, bring back what we have here to Mars. It's the most absurd scientific probability or practical idea that I have heard in my short life on this planet. What they're proposing is totally insane. Why don't keep what we have and protect it in order to survive the next generations with water, with air, with green zones, and use energy sources that are already available. They insist on nuclear energy, even though what Japan is saying is that they are not going to be able to control the pollution that is caused, the radioactive pollution that is causing Fukushima, Daiichi. In Japan, they cannot control it anymore, so they're going to release all the radioactive material in ponds that they have, like in the north of Canada. They're going to release it into the ocean. That's what they're going to do. Because for the next 40 years, radiation are going to keep on going into the ocean of the world to the Pacific, thanks to nuclear energy. Like I mentioned before, there's many other people, like Fire from Ice, a book written by Eugene Mallov. There's many other sources, including not only solar and wind, or the wave, the power of the waves in the oceans that is used in northern European countries like Holland and others. They use the wave tide the tidal movement of the ocean, in order to produce mechanisms that create energy without using wind or solar power or nuclear power. Eugene Mallov was very specific on that. As long as they don't kill this kind of thought and thinkers, we can transform our reality to a better one. I don't agree with going to another planet to live underground in order to transform the atmosphere by doing what we are doing on this planet, which is exactly the cause of the destruction of the planet. The fact that scientists like deGrasse Tyson and all these people are not admitting the extraterrestrial influence unless it's, they say, proven to them, etc. And they don't admit evidence whatsoever. Evidence like, for example, seeing a plane. No, but this evidence, for example, the one that you just saw, infers, of course, any scientist will tell you, wow, if I see an object like that, that infers technology. It means that the guy is hovering. We cannot hover. We don't have, but the Harriers in England that, with a big noise, this guy is making no noise, is anti-gravitational. I inquire immediate action in order to find out what is that or those objects, the mystery of the spheres, the fact that, for example, Stephen Greer is promoting the establishment of a consciousness, planetary consciousness, in order to welcome these dudes, something that Richard Dolan opposes period here in Canada. He came in 2017 or 2018, and he made a performance, very good performance, speaking about the 21 trillion mist, how that can be explained underneath bases, subterranean, underground bases, like Phil Schneider mentioned before, and he was killed for it, and many others, etc., etc. So with this level of secrecy, when they took us apart, like Jean Le Carré mentioned in his books, that, and in his interview in 2010, speaking about the secrecy government and how Prime Minister said, if you have seen what I have seen, you will understand. If you have read what I have read, you will understand that go to war is justifiable, and it was all lies. So when we live in a world like this, and truth is the value of truth in this world is death or jail. 175. I need to speak to the Queen in order to correct that. The Queen and I are best pals. I think we have to talk about what is it that still Julian Assange is in prison. Maybe I can convince her to release him. It's just a joke, but I hope it's not. So when England, Europe, the United States, with some exceptions in Europe like Belgium, that has opened the books in extraterrestrial visitors, etc. And now these people are saying that the Jew is saying it, because a Jew is saying it, so the Jews are controlling Wikipedia. Well, I hope not WikiLeaks, but Wikipedia, everything is oriented by them. Apparently they know the world better, and because now they have the influence of extraterrestrials all around the Bible. You can see from Ezekiel, you can see from 2 Kings 11, when Elijah is abducted literally by a spacecraft, etc. The Bible is nothing but passages in which we can understand what's going on. So listen, guys, for us, for the country and for the world, it was important for me to speak about these matters here in Canada, because they believe that we Canadians are, oh yeah, all syrup and yeah, we and we syrup, and we love hockey. You bet your ass we do. But we're not stupid, and we're one of the countries left in the world that has way more smart and beliefs. Yeah, it's one of those countries that do believe in what is right for us, for the country, and for the world. And that is Canada. And I'm very proud to be a Canadian. I wanted to dedicate the last part of the program to an accomplishment that the NASA, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, in Houston, Texas, in the United States, accomplished, and that is to put a probe in the surface of Mars. That's something that we applaud. The Perseverance probe that just landed in Mars. We have to give it to what is due to our effort as a species to not only conquer other worlds, I hope that's not the idea, but to have better interplanetary relationships with other civilizations. That must be our goal. The problem that I found in these kind of issues is that as long as governments have a special interest or created interest or vested interest in truths, such powerful truths as is the fact that there's other civilizations around us with better technology capability, it's not that we're not ready. It's that as long as governments and elites keep controlling the world as they do, and financial issues, creating poverty, creating displacement, inequality, war all around the place, we are not good guys. If we killed more than 60 million in the Second World War, destroyed more than 1,700 cities worldwide, it's not a good example for any other civilization to want to mingle with us or start a interplanetary or exopolitic relationship, which is very important and necessary for us, for the country, and for the world. So let's give it up for Perseverance, which just conquered or landed in the surface of the one of the most valued planets for scientists, and that is Mars. Congratulations, JPL. Congratulations, NASA. We have to give it to what is due, honor to what is due when it's due. Congratulations, JPL.
We are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver in preparation for parachute deploy. The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed and we are seeing significant deceleration. Skycam maneuver has started. About 20 meters off the surface.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the signs of past life.
Looks like we're getting the first image.
This is the most amazing thing. This is what NASA does. This is what we can do as a country.
For us, for the country, for the world. Hope to see you next time in the next edition of React Today as part of the World's Way Out project. Au revoir. Bye bye. Hasta pronto.